I'd like to call the January 15th meeting of the Wheaton Park District Board of Commissioners to order. Mike, please take the roll.
Commissioner Vanderschaft.
Here.
Commissioner Morrill.
Here.
Commissioner Mee.
Here.
Commissioner Hodgkinson.
Here.
President Kelly.
Here.
No presentations today.
So we have no presentations. Did anybody sign up to address the board? No public comments. So I'll take a motion on the consent agenda.
Move to approve as presented.
Second.
Any questions, discussion? Okay, Mike, take the roll.
Commissioner Vanderschaft.
Yes.
Commissioner Morrill.
Yes.
Commissioner Mee.
Yes.
Commissioner Hodgkinson.
Yes.
President Kelly.
Yes. Unfinished business, buildings and ground update. We've closed the final change orders with Bergen still waiting with Bergen still waiting for the lien to get resolved. We're at about the end of our one-year warranty period. It's getting close on the heating system. So we had a meeting yesterday where I had the engineers out from Alara and I had the heating contractor out, and we went through the whole heating system again to make sure it was functioning the way everybody wanted it to. Have a couple nuisance control problems, and the engineer and the contractor are going to meet on site Friday to do a little bit more programming. Some of the cycles were moving a little slow. I've asked Mike to get back to us with energy savings next month, so we know. But right now, preliminary numbers where we're spending about a third. About a third of what we were spending when we were before the building. So the system's running pretty efficiently, and Mike's going to put together a report for us next month or even March so we can get through a couple of winter months, and then we'll know. Because remember, we did that energy upgrade on all the lighting to the fluorescent fixtures. So, hopefully that'll get taken care of. But I think we're satisfied with the system. It appears to be working. Right, Rob? Everybody? And we set up something this week so that the consultants can get into the computer and monitor what's going on in the building, too. So they're going to watch it for another week before the warranty's up and just make sure they don't see any problems. Kim?
One thing we should pay attention, if it's 1/3 of what it was last year, the temperature has been like 20 degrees lower than it was during this time last year. So we should take that into account as well, that it's less money.
Well, I'm not talking as much about last year as before we had the heating system installed, which would have been like 2 winters ago when we were paying just to heat it using the old plant.
Okay.
That was part of the old Hubble. But, yeah, they're going to look at this year and last year and,
make a comparison.
Yeah, and it's working pretty good. I mean, we're keeping the temperature down in the building when it's unoccupied, and it seems to be, working pretty good. So we'll get that report for everybody, like by March or something, so we know where we're at. And that's it on the construction projects from Buildings and Grounds. New business, Resolution 2014/01, resolution authorizing Northern Illinois Municipal Electric Cooperative to serve as the broker for the Park District in regard to obtaining bids from electricity providers. We need a motion.
Move to approve 2014-01.
Second.
Any questions, comments? Yeah, Terry.
Mike, I know that we've used them in the past. Is there anything substantially different in our agreement this time? I
No.
didn't see anything, so, okay.
There won't be a 3-year bid until next year.
Okay.
So we're year to year until then.
Thank you.
Anybody else? A resolution, we need to roll.
Commissioner Vanderschaft.
Yes.
Commissioner Morrill.
Yes.
Commissioner Mee.
Yes.
Commissioner Hodgkinson.
Yes.
President Kelly.
Yes. New business. Item number 2, board approval to submit a grant application in cooperation with DuPage County for the Illinois Public Museum Capital Grant Program for the DuPage County Historical Museum roof project. Need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments, discussion? Kim?
Okay, I'm not quite clear, but we're looking to vote on this before we have agreement from the county?
We have agreement from the county to pursue the grant. What I'm doing today is my due diligence with the board, which directed me, I believe prior to your election, Kim, that any grant we pursue, the board needs to sign off on it at the different stages of it.
Okay. So, but we would not move forward until we had that agreement from the county, correct? For their
Correct. And then we
portion?
wouldn't move forward until we signed our grant contract, and then we wouldn't move forward until we figured out a upfront cost split with the county,
Okay.
which would all be reimbursed through the grant were we successful.
And again, Mike,
Right now, we're responsible for 20% of the cost, 25%.
And they're
Of the
responsible for
re-roofing project, and we
75.
do have a roof problem there. So
Yeah, I know.
getting some grant money to help defray the costs would be nice.
This grant could cover the cost of the roof, which we had formal prices on in the middle of last year, and they should hold pretty steady. And an additional $200,000 plus or minus capacity within this grant for other capital needs that the museum has. So we're going to put our significant efforts into acquiring this grant.
Terry?
Mike, I know there's never any guarantee that we're going to be approved for the grant, but do you have a sense of our success rate possibly?
We've been successful with this grant in the past, and my opinion is we're an ideal candidate for this grant. I'm sure there's 400 other entities that share that opinion.
Isn't this the same grant that DuPage County Forest Preserve is going to use?
They're going to
for
seek
Mays Lake?
for Mays Lake. This is the grant that paid for a significant portion of your Bobcat exhibit. Yeah, there's going to be plenty of competition, but I think with our team effort and with the excellence that can be reported that's occurring over at the museum and our network, I believe we can be successful.
Anybody else? All right, all in favor of applying for the grant?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? New business item number 3, approval of a purchase agreement with Transform Inc. for digital dining point of sale system for the Arrowhead Golf Course Clubhouse.
Move to approve.
Second.
Questions, comments? Terry?
Mike, what do you see as a transition time for going from what we have now to this?
We want to be up and running and trained and smooth before we get busy again, so essentially St. Patrick's Day.
So would we engage them now?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Mark?
There's 3 days of training in here that they provide. Is that enough?
There's certainly, certainly follow up, but they would come in for, once we get it, programming, they program a little bit, we look at it, make sure it's set up, so that's a good, process. They come in over scheduled 2 days where we train our people while it's just sitting in its own environment, and then they come in again to install it. The wiring's already there, so they're really just plugging out the whole system, and then now they stay for that, and we oversee that, and then there is follow-up available as far as on-premise, physically on-premise, but we're getting trained. And once it's programmed, you know, we can access questions we have.
Commissioner Schobel, as we have many custom software contracts, this outfit as a new vendor is going to be very interested in making us happy. And many times in the past, I've been successful in if they are not going to drill down to a microsecond on this contract, they're going to make sure we're trained.
You know, having been down this road in the past when we opened this place, I'm telling you that this was kind of like a big bone of contention of making sure that this all, well, I don't know if you were here, but it was a mess.
None of us were here.
And all I'm saying is that, you know, what's the proven track record with these people? I mean, do you know them from somebody else?
They come with, as I mentioned in the report, with solid recommendations.
All I'm saying is that, you know, when you find something that works, you know, and like I said, we went through this out of the get-go, and it really crippled us for like almost 2.5 years. The old software we had. So
I don't know which software you're referring to, but
I can't remember
there's
what
certainly.
it was, but you know, I'm telling you, I think we blew it up about a year and a half in to start with something new because they weren't meeting our expectations. And we were trying to marry both the pro shop and the restaurant. So
Steve, you're going to probably have to come to the microphone because
While
otherwise
he's-
it's not going to be heard.
While he's coming up there, the system for food and beverage has been the system that's been there since we opened the place. We have not replaced the Aloha system. That was purchased, I believe, probably Bruce Stoller can be the best to address how that process was undertaken. I think you're talking about when we moved to Vermont systems for recreation and golf, and
Now, we had a problem with the Aloha system, too. I remember that right out of the get-go.
well, our current problem with the Aloha
It
system.
was Aloha. For some reason, I think it was somebody else.
The current problem with the Aloha system is it's very expensive to replace to get us PC, whatever the acronym is, compliant. And to be perfectly frank, they haven't seemed very interested in retaining us as a client. There's been significant advances in efficiencies in technology, as everybody knows, in the last 7 years since you bought it.
That's what I mean. If you guys have vetted this thing,
We have.
These guys can work. Then I'm fine with it. But I'm just telling you, it seems like everybody I've talked to that has ever replaced a system that's been in place, been a huge hiccup.
You know, and Commissioner Schobel, I agree. I've been through many new software conversions, and they can get ugly. And we're going to make sure that this one doesn't.
Steve, have you implemented a new software before?
I have.
As manager, you've changed
Yes.
over. So you're
you know-
familiar with what it takes to switch over?
I am. I don't think Commissioner Schobel's wrong. I mean, switching a systems, you have to plan on those kinks. This button doesn't go to that printer. Now the pantry cook doesn't know to make the salad, and that will happen. I think it's a lot easier because we already know what system, we know how to set up the logic already because we have it. So it'll be a little easier to start up, but I have no worries that if that button doesn't go to that printer, that they will stay on premise until it does. Mike also mentioned that we're going to be doing that on a Tuesday in February and not, we're going to do that while it's slow.
Well, obviously, you're slower, and that's probably the ideal time to do it. But I guess I'm the guy that's concerned about going down the road. You're a month into it, and these guys aren't the guys.
Kim?
Following on that, this vendor has a huge upfront cost in year one. So, in fact, everything is loaded into year one, and years 2 through 5 are very small as far as the cost there. So there is that risk if this vendor doesn't work. Do we have a way out, and do we have a way out that doesn't cost us $27,000, which is what the cost is for year one, versus the $9,000 in years 2 through 5?
Years two through 5, Commissioner Vanderschaff, are strictly the maintenance agreement that we would have with any software. We've done that with. It's pretty standard for any of the custom software that serves our industries that we're in. That you buy it up front. We're not leasing it. You buy the licenses, you buy the equipment, and then if you are willing to, and I think it's a smart idea to buy a maintenance agreement to keep them on staff. I think that the $2,500 a year for the next 4 years is for basically universal support is a pretty good price.
No, but if this is not the correct vendor with which we have no experience, we're out everything up front.
Well, if there's a catastrophic failure of this product, regardless of the vetting, which was many months that Steve and his staff undertook, obviously there's always legal recourse, Kim. But here's what I'm telling you today, is that we did our homework. Staff is very excited about the software. They've demoed it. They like it. The price is right. And my recommendation is we move forward. There's risks in anything.
Demos are demos.
Steve, why don't you give us, some of the board still seems concerned, so can you give us some of the references you got, major establishments that use this software? Did you go see it there? Did you talk to them?
I did not physically go see it on premise. They're a lower player than the Aloha and Micros are the two biggest names, and they're going to cover most of the chains. I didn't bring my list of references here, but I talked to probably 5 or 6 different operations that use the system. We looked at it ourselves, and
Of the 5, you mentioned 5. Who are you talking?
there was. You're going to catch me on the names here. So they were smaller groups that had 6 or 7 restaurants. This system keep in mind, this system is digital dining being represented by a local distributor. So I'm only giving you the references of this local distributor. We didn't, that was our world, because these are the guys that when we call up because the button's not working, who we're going to deal with. So they're not specifically dealing with, supplying to, major chains.
All right. You had 5. Can you remember one?
One of it, I believe it was called Onions, and it was a chain not around here, but the guy had several operations. He was thrilled with it. They worked with him very well.
How long have you been with them?
Several years, and had grown with them. So it was everyone I talked to, they worked, and I think to address your point, anyone who had kinks, they worked with them very well.
All right. What was the volume that Onions did?
They're probably, I believe they were more like 2, and again, I may get the name wrong, but they were doing like 2 million per store.
Okay.
And we're doing, on the restaurant side, around there a little bit more.
Steve, didn't he, I think he said one of the bigger restaurants he had, if I remember, wasn't it Houlihan's? That he's might be in the Houlihan's restaurants, I believe.
Let's verify it and report.
Yeah, I don't want to misspeak. I know they are in bigger chains, but we were trying to talk to people that this distributorship.
Well, I think, you're trying to find something that mirrors what we are.
Yeah.
Low is big, I get that. But sometimes, you get what you pay for, and that's what I'm just concerned about. I've never heard of this group. So, and you mentioned 2 others, Micro and you go in most places, that's what you see. I see I guess it's because I was so close to it at that point. I said, when I see that screen, I know what it is.
Right. Well, and just there were other bells and whistles that we really liked. For instance, in the Aloha system right now, I can't tell you how many sales come out of the restaurant dining room versus the bar. They can't track it like that. There are some neat bells and whistles that this system can do that our current system cannot.
Well, maybe there's a smaller operator, maybe they can custom craft it, so who knows?
Terry?
I just want to make a comment, based on what I read from the staff, this offers us some more definitive ways of tracking things. And, if that's what they offer, then I'm going to be supportive of it.
It also has a better inventory program, too.
But it's like anything else. They all sell you this stuff. We went through this when we were selecting this process. They all tell you this can do this, and that, and then it ends up not doing it. And they blame it on glitches and with our reporting system and the rest of it. So I'm just saying, I'm the guy that's been down this path, not once but twice, and I'm telling you, demos are one thing. When it's in real world operation, it's another thing. So,
And my opinion is we've hired a staff to run our operation, and they've done their research and they've done their due diligence, and I'm in favor of trusting them to do their job. And
Let's call a question.
so, any other discussion? Okay, Mike, take the roll, please.
Commissioner Hodgkinson,
Yes.
Commissioner Mee.
Yes.
Commissioner Morrow.
Yes.
Commissioner Schobel. Commissioner Vanderschaff.
Yes.
President Kelly.
Yes.
Thank you, Steve.
Thanks, Steve. We've been requested to table new business item number 4. The petitioner wanted to be at the meeting and they couldn't attend tonight, so we're not in any hurry to do anything with this anyway, so I would recommend somebody make a motion
Move to table.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Wait, we got this question. Kim?
Sorry.
Are we going to get more
I do,
detail?
you all in favor?
I'm sorry.
Are we going to get more details on this because this memo was very brief?
That's all we have so far, thinking that somebody would address the board.
Oh, wasn't there a meeting? I thought it referenced a meeting.
We did have a meeting. Bill Farley, the Director of Business Services for the school district, and myself called the meeting with the individual. It's really it's a very simple request. We would like you to relieve us of this additional $72.15 because we're a not-for-profit and we don't believe that our residents are going to use the park district. It's really that simple. And my thoughts were shared with the petitioner at this meeting, and I told them it's up to the will of the board. And if you'd like my rationale before they come in on what my recommendation will be, I'm happy to provide it, but it really is not a lot of details.
Okay.
It's they don't want to pay it.
We have a motion to table, so this discussion needs to take place when we're back open again, so. We had a motion to table and a second.
But I have one question, Jan. Do you know this group?
Yes, I do know this group. And I've got a question, but go ahead and ask your question.
No, I just want to know what you thought of the group, that's all.
Oh, it's a legitimate group. Isn't this through College Church?
They're affiliated with
Yeah, this is
College Church.
This is the group that's been purchasing homes for.
This is the executive table.
We're going beyond
Yeah,
where we
we're
should
having
be.
a discussion on something that.
Let's move the table.
Hang on a minute. One minute, you have a conversation, she's having a question.
And you need to vote. I know, I probably shouldn't have allowed that either. I shouldn't have allowed that either. We have a
Well, that's
motion to
why.
table and a second. So, all in favor of tabling?
All right.
Aye. Anybody opposed? You'll let us know if we'll put it on February. This will be on February's agenda then.
I believe they communicated to Donna that they
And if
can
anybody wants more information,
attend
you
the
can probably
February
contact
meeting.
Mike and get whatever more information he has. And then I'm sure they're going to make a presentation before we talk about it next month. All right. Reports from staff? Anybody have anything on that?
I'd simply like to highlight the casino night event that is coming up on the 28th of February. It's a great time for a great cause, and we hope we see many, many people contributing to filling the event, which I think is 100 capacity. So get your tickets while they're hot.
I'll go around the table, and if anybody has anything, I'll start with Kim and come this way. Kim?
Well, I just have a question for Mike. Healthcare, what is happening right now with our petition to remove ourselves from our coalition?
I referenced it in my last weekly update, and I know there was a ton of documents in there, so it's a lot to get through, and I did provide the formal petition letter to the board. But long story short, the council meeting, which is made up of my peers who are involved in the health program, each get a vote, and there's 90 of us. That meeting is tomorrow at 10, and essentially they have our case. And I spoke with the executive director of Paderma today, and he told me how the meeting was going to go from a standpoint of structure, not from an outcome standpoint. And I will be there for Q&A, and if they have any additional thoughts, we're not going to get an answer tomorrow. They're going to digest some things.
So there's not a vote tomorrow?
There will be a vote, but there's a series of things that they need to vote on. Okay, if it's yes, are you going to let them go without a penalty, or are you going to assess a penalty? So I'd be surprised if we have clear direction at the end of the day tomorrow, but it will be in short order as the timeline was laid out. Ideally, if we end up leaving, we would start the second fiscal quarter with the new carrier. Thank you.
Mark, anything? No. Ray?
A few things. I'm glad to see the Recreation Department's looking at the cancellation of programs and what they can do to try and turn that trend around. Also would like to question and wonder if maybe there's a need at this point in time or in the immediate future to have somebody in marketing to deal specifically with athletic programs and recreation, because I think that the marketing department is spread pretty thin, and maybe there's a need to deal specifically with the programming end of it. I'd like to welcome Daryl Houston to the athletic staff as new athletic supervisor. Glad also to see that we're using Wheaton Warrenville South and Wheaton North High School field houses. That always has been somewhat of a bone of contention, I think. And it's good to see that we are using them for some of our athletic programs this winter. And congratulations to Sue Walgren and the Cosley Zoo staff. I drive by Cosley Zoo almost on a daily basis, and when I saw all those trees, and I kept driving by and driving by and driving by, and slowly but surely they were going. I'm glad to see that they were down to 2. It's a job well done. I'm amazed. Congratulations to the Park District on their Paderma accreditation. That's a good honor, nice honor, and it's not easy to get. And so congratulations to the staff on that. And I also want to congratulate Mike for being involved in the IAPD, IPRA Research Advisory Council. I think it's great when the staff are involved in our state association. So thank you.
Terry?
Want to again recognize the continuing, increasing profit margin with the restaurant and banquet facility at Arrowhead. It's significant increases. That's impressive. I also noted in one of the reports that reindeer run, which seems like kind of a small event, has got an essentially good profit margin for us. So that's impressive, especially at that time of year. So keep that up. And then, Mike, thanks for the continuing green team reports. I mean, I think we're doing our fair share for conservation, so that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, not looking at this packet with all this paper.
Anyway, that's all I have. Thanks, John.
Yeah, we could get our packets online,
We do.
Jane, anything? Okay, and I just want to make sure everybody should have gotten an invitation in the mail to the all-volunteer appreciation mixer on, I think it's February 6th. I think there was one in the board packet, too.
There was.
Right, so, that's where all the volunteers from all our programs are invited to come up to Arrowhead, and it's nice if the board members can show up and tell them thank you. What's the number, 90,000 volunteer hours or something like that? So, just wanted to note that. All right, we need a motion to go into closed session for items A, B, and E.
Move to recess to closed session for purposes of, and I put my agenda away, personnel. Cool.
I thought we have the closed session minutes to review.
You're just going to approve them in closed session tonight. They'll come back in February to determine it.
Right, so we're going to approve them in closed
Appointment.
session.
Okay, my apologies.
Thank you.
The provisions of 5 ILCS 120/2 C1 and 5 ILCS 122 C21. I think that's it, isn't it, Mike?
E.
I just read E.
1, 5, and 21.
Yeah, 1, 5, and 21. Do I have a
That's it.
second?
Second.
Okay, Mike, take the roll.
Commissioner Vanderschaft?
Yes.
Commissioner Schobel?
Yes.
Commissioner Morrill?
Yes.
Commissioner Mee?
Yes.
Commissioner Hodgkinson?
Yes.
President Kelly?
Yes. Okay.
Are we going to take any action?